Hey guys, this will be a tutorial inverts on spinning ball. Since some of you have been asking specifically for this kind of tutorial, I decided to make one. There are several ways how to invert on a spinning ball and on a static ball. Now this doesn't mean that what I will show you in this tutorial, that these are the only ways how to invert on a spinning ball, but maybe some of the techniques that I will show you may help you to make your invert look and feel easier. So let's get started. As always, I will remind you, make sure you are warmed up and ready before you start to do this tutorial. So since this is a spinning ball and the ball is spinning both ways, you have to decide which way you're going to do your invert. Are you spinning forward or spinning backward? Usually what I have seen in my students and how I feel that a backward spinning invert is a little bit more easier on a spinning ball than spinning forward. But I will show you both ways today. So we will start with the easy version when you're spinning backwards. So on spinning ball, inverting feels a lot more difficult than on a static ball. But we can use the momentum what comes from the ball when it's spinning to actually help us get our butts up. We will start with the first thing. When you take your grip, you have to understand that you are holding with your biceps muscles. So you are not falling into your shoulders, you are not pulling your shoulders close to your ears. Make sure your neck is tall, you are not over engaging everything in your upper back, so your trapezius has to feel kind of okay, so you do not feel like this. Your neck has to be tall, you have to feel that you're actually holding with your biceps muscles because your hands are bent, and when your hands are bent you're doing a flexion, or when you're doing a flexion in your hands, your biceps muscle is the one that actually contracts and helps your shoulders to make the specific movement happen. So in here you have to be able to hold yourself a bit in this position. Next thing, you have to understand that your leg, the outside leg, is the one that shows you where you have to go. So now you will go backward. Okay, we were starting with a back invert when we're spinning backwards. So, and the leg is the one that starts the movement and makes the pole spin. So you close the leg, okay, the outside leg, and then you start to swing with it while opening the hip. Here is your first movement with the leg and the hip. So once the leg got as high as you possibly can, lift it up, you have to hold it there and follow it there. So that is the first thing you have to kind of be able to do. Let's try to do this without inverting. Just trying to hold and drawing this. Okay, do both sides. Close your leg, open and hold. Just a little bit. Let's do this one more time. Close your leg, open, start drawing and hold. Switching sides, close and hold. I'm bending the inside leg because I will need it bent when I will do an invert. So keep the inside leg bent. When you're doing this, you're just bending the inside leg, and the outside leg, hold it strong, okay? You can try this on the floor. Bend the inside leg and you start to spin. Work with the outside leg. Just make sure you're completing a full range of motion with your outside leg. It's closed. I'm starting to swing. And now I'm spinning. So the leg is actually really important. It's the most important thing here. So you would not have to work a lot with your hands and pulling up. The leg has to do a lot more work. So make sure you're doing this on your both sides. Start with the floor just to make sure that you understand the movement in your leg. What helps me is to actually look at the leg, look at your foot, and make sure you're actually completing a full circle. Usually the common mistake is when students start to create a circle and then they go here. Okay, make sure you're going open, 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 and follow. And just holding your shoulders strong. And you will create a spin with just help of your leg. And if your butt comes off from the floor, it's really nice. It means that your leg helped you to lift up your hips. So that is why we actually need the full range of motion for the leg. The leg has to be straight, the outside one, for the hips to actually work as well, because we need to lift our butt up. So when you understand now what we have to do with the leg, next thing what you have to do is to go to the side. You're going away from the pole with your torso, with your head. So you're kind of trying to move to the side here, following your leg. So let's try to make this happen. You're starting to draw and leaning away. And starting to pull the other leg closer to you. Going here, leaning away. And starting to pull. So if you go back, if you tilt back right away, the invert actually will feel a lot more difficult. So imagine you're doing this and tilting back. It's a lot harder to hold yourself there. The leg work is not helping, and we are not using momentum to help us invert. But when you're starting to draw with the leg, when you're leaning to the side, you're actually trying to make the movement, the spinning, work for you, not against you. Now the techniques I'm showing you, it will help you also when you're trying to make an air invert as well. So we are trying to learn to do an invert without a jump, less of a jumping, more of trying to work with the momentum. Next thing, you have to try to go closer to your leg, and the leg is trying to move closer to the pole. It's like you're trying to follow the leg, and the leg is trying to get to the pole. So you are trying to follow the leg, and the leg is trying to go to the pole. There are two ways. You can focus on using your hands and strength in your bent hands, or you can let yourself extend your hands. Usually beginners or intermediate level that are not that strong extend the hands, not even thinking about it, because you're not able to hold that strong. Let's try to make an experiment. Let's do this with extended hands. Arms are straight. And arms are bent. When you're actually working with the momentum, letting your leg work more than your hands, it actually doesn't matter are your hands straight or bent when you're doing an invert. Just make sure you're not taking them too high. If you take them too high, it will be, of course, harder to get your butt up. Take them low. You can start with straight hands, and here just pulling with your shoulders up to finish the invert. For that, I use the inside leg bent just to make sure I have that extra grip, to make sure that I'm sliding hands, not falling down. Do not let go. The inside leg is bent to make sure that you have this extra grip, so you can slide your hands and hook the leg above. And this variation, if you're not doing this with a jump, will actually help you a lot when you're trying to achieve an air invert on a spinning pole. So you're kind of following that leg, looking at that foot to make sure you're doing a full range of motion, and let the leg pull your hips up, and then the leg just continues the circle to reach and grip the pole. Make sure you're doing both sides, so you can start here. Do not take your hands too high. Take them somewhere in the line of your head. You can let them extend, or you can keep them bent. So I will show you with extended hands one more time. Keep it bent, slide, 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 and hook. If you keep your arms bent, if you're strong enough to hold yourself for a little while here, then you can actually do this with bent hands, and your invert will be a little bit higher, and you will need, and you can avoid the sliding hands because you will be holding yourself. Now look, I will hold, I will still doing the same. I'm just holding, holding, holding. And here, I just didn't need to slide my hands down because I was holding enough a while to not lose the height for my butt, so I don't need to slide my hands. So there are options here. You can extend the hands and just slide them down right before you're hooking the legs, so you do not lock your hands onto the ball, okay? Common mistake here, here, and then you do this several times before you can actually feel that you hooked the pole. So I suggest you use the sliding, okay? You do not have to be able to hold yourself for so long. Although this moment is not that long, and when the leg is coming up, I let them extend, and then I hook. So, I made a full range of motion here. Okay, this is my maximum. Now I'm pulling it close, and that's the moment when I let my hands go straight, and the leg just continues to work and hook the pole. I slided them down right before I hooked the pole. Of course, you can make this a lot more easier for you. You can create a slide jump, small jump here, and hook the pole. You can avoid sliding your hands because you're high enough, because you created that little jump that got you here. And while that leg was moving close, you slowly extend, but still your butt is high enough so you can reach the pole right above your hands. These small details can actually help your invert look and feel easier. And the same technique applies when you're doing this up in an air invert. So you're here, and the same thing applies with bent, strong arms, or with straight arms where you're just following the leg. And the leg does the actual work, but it's working together with the momentum, so it actually has to feel a little bit easier than if you're doing an invert like this on a spinning pole. The difference is that when you're actually doing this with straight hands, arms, you're holding more in your shoulders, and when you're doing it with bent hands, you're holding more with your biceps. Just make sure you're not doing like this. Neck is long, shoulders in place. Just a little tip, make sure your leg starts the movement from here, from close to pole, from a close hip to an open hip to create a bigger movement, then from here. Okay, because from here you get a little bit more momentum than from here. It's a lot more difficult. And remember that you have to move away from the pole with your upper body. So you're moving away with your upper body and just following your leg. Doesn't matter with straight or bent arms, it's still the same move. Just with straight arms, your invert might go a little bit lower, but with bent arms, you're pulling yourself a little bit more up, so your invert might be higher. But still, you're working with the momentum, and the leg is the one that shows you the way with creating full range of motion. So try to look at that foot while you're doing this motion, so it can help you to actually be aware of how big of a movement you are actually creating. A little bit more difficult invert is when you're spinning forward. So now this variation is a little bit more difficult to actually get your butt up. Now you have to hold in your hands, in your arms, in your biceps, not to create a position where your butt is too low and you cannot hook the pole, although you always have the option of sliding hands. So when you're spinning forward, you will go into your outside hand, like here, like this. Next thing, take your hands low, and now you will not move away from the pole, you will move close to the pole to create a tucked position, to make yourself small, and that can actually help you create your invert. So you go here. So you're trying to hold actually with all of your body going as close to the pole as you can, and make sure that your hands are not higher than your nose. So you're going back. And this is the beginning of invert, spinning forward. So I'm leaning to the side a lot. I'm trying to move to a parallel position with my body, and that actually can help you a lot in invert when you're spinning forward, rather than you going here, going here. If you have a lot of strength, you can do any variation of inverts which you prefer. But if you don't have so much strength, this can actually help you create an invert spinning forward a little bit more easier for you. So first thing, you tuck, you lean to the side, close to the pole, keep your inside leg bent, and open up the outside leg. And now you're already close. Let's try this one more time, spinning forward, open, and you can already hook, almost. So what here can actually help you, so you don't have to pull yourself up vigorously. Here in this moment, when you're in this position, what helps is that your hands are low, we got that, okay, and that you're in a parallel position, okay, we got that too. Next thing, you can help with your legs here as well. So here, the outside leg is the one, again, that has to create a little bit of momentum to help get your hips up. There are several ways. You can do this with straight legs and just cross and boom, open and go to the side. Or you can try to open your outside leg in this kind of manner. I like to see this because this looks pretty nice on a spinning pole, and this movement with the leg helps you get your hips up. So you're here and back. And even though my hand's extended, this little dynamic move with the leg helped to get my hips up without pulling up, but actually popping up. So what I suggest you to do, just lie on the floor, take your hands low, go to the pole close, keep the inside leg bent, and try to draw this movement with your leg. So you are extending, lifting up, bending, leg comes close because it's easier when it's bent, and you extend it just when you need to hook the pole. And with that extension here, you create this popping. So you can of course just do this, pop, just open, pop. This can help you pop your butt up if you're in this parallel position close to the pole, but this movement looks a little bit more. So, but it depends. You can just do this pop, pop, okay? Or you can lift it up a little bit, bend, open knee, knee goes super close as you can to the ear, okay? And then you open and hook. And this little opening, as you can see, helps to pop the hip up and hook the pole a little bit higher, even though your hands are already extending and you're kind of moving away from the pole. But if you're close, that can help you to hold. So let's try to do this in action. You're moving here to the side, extend, pop, and then extend the other leg. Trying to squeeze the pole within my stomach as well, so I feel the extra grip, so I don't have to hold just with my hands. So I'm moving to this parallel position, and then all the work, all the hard work, I leave to my leg again. And the hands are already, when the leg starts to work, the hands are already extending. Okay, so let's try this again, the other side. You go close, extend, pop, and hook. So you can try to do this more dynamic with straight legs, but it's a little bit more advanced when you do this like this. Pa, pa. Especially in air, you create a lot of spinning with that move, and sometimes you can get a little bit dizzy when you spin so much. This variation is a little bit more controlled because you are in the tucked position and just finding the right moment for yourself for the legs start to work to create an invert. Now this way may not seem the easiest way. I see how my students are doing inverts in the air. I will just show you for an example. We are spinning and they're just pushing off with the leg. So, as I told you, there are a lot of variations how to do an invert on a spinning pole. But if you want to make your inverts look graceful, you have to find a way how they can be more easier for you. So this tucking and leaning close to the pole will make you feel a little bit easier in your hands, so you don't have to hold in your biceps. Next thing, with the leg work, you actually create the popping up and you don't have to re-hook the leg 100 times before you grab the pole higher than your hands. So let's try this one more last time. When you go tuck, take your hands as low as you need, parallel line, extend. You can do this with this. Bah. See, I even create the popping up only if I open here. So you don't have to do this bah movement. If you don't want to, or it's too difficult for you, you can just open the knee, put it close, pop up, and then hook the pole. Pull, open, hook. And of course, when you're trying to hook the pole, it's important that you are starting to open up in your chest as well and going back, so your butt has to go higher. So when your upper body moves down, your lower body moves up. So this is important. When you're here, you look like this position. Make sure your neck is still long and you're not like this, okay? So, and when you hook, I'm opening up the chest and pushing the leg down and slide the hands so you can actually feel the hook in your leg. And always, if it seems too difficult, you can always go back to the floor and just work it here. And pop and hook. And if the inside leg is bent, you still have that extra grip here between your side a little bit more. So you can always, again, slide your hands right before you're hooking the pole. Or you can do just ba, da, going down. But this movement will create a little bit more popping your hips up. So that can help a lot. Just a little tip, in variation when you're spinning forward, you need the right timing as well. So when you're going here, when the knee is almost close, you have to let your hands extend to create, because you have to start to open up in your chest so your butt can come up. So you're in this position, your leg is moving close, and I'm starting, boom. So if you have the inside leg bent, you will have the extra grip. Just in case, you can slide your hands down, which actually helps you create an easier invert so you don't have to hook several times before you actually feel the grip in your knee. Try to make sure that you are not moving here and you're invert and then going down. All the way through, you're trying to invert through this side, like we did when we spin back. We're trying to invert throughout. Now here we're trying to invert from inside. So you're keeping your inside, and if needed, just slide the hands down if they are extending a little bit faster than you expected. So hopefully this tutorial helps you in some way to achieve easier, more graceful, more beautiful inverts on the spinning pole. Now if you like this video, make sure you press like, subscribe. If you have any questions, just put it down in the comment section. I will try to answer them as soon as I can. And if you have any suggestions for upcoming videos, you can also put them into the comment section. Thank you for joining my channel and have a wonderful day.